How's it going, everyone? And welcome to the latest episode of the Why the Mountains podcast with me, your host, Stephen Farley. If you're a hill walker or a mountaineer, or just someone with a love of stories of adventure in the mountains, this is the podcast for you. In this first series, we are exploring the history of Irish mountaineers on Everest, from the earliest pioneering days right up to the latest commercial expeditions. If you haven't listened to our earlier podcast, I suggest you do that first before continuing with this latest episode. This is the second part of our interview with Terence Banjo Bannon. In this episode, Banjo takes us through what life is like on Everest with raw honesty, both the incredible highs, the awful lows, and the friction that can accompany an expedition, and never quite leave it. Again, there are a few bad words sprinkled throughout, but nothing too much. I hope you enjoy. We begin this episode by hearing from Banjo and getting his impression of what life is like on expedition and in base camp.
Boredom is a big thing. So you take away the glacier. I saw the same thing. Oh, the big mountain, the excitement and all. And when I got there, I went, fuck, nobody tells you about the days and then sitting in a tent bored to tears. And the weather's, if it's too windy or there's too much snow and you can't move anywhere and you're going, there's no fun in that. The whole romanticism of the big mountain sort of expand. You go, and then when you're in there for a long time, you're not stretching your lungs, and you have to go for walks yourself, and you have the cold and altitude's great. And if you have any niggle, say a dodgy knee, or if you have a small air pocket in your tooth, I remember I didn't go to the dentist, and any air pockets that I had in fillings just popped. Nobody told me anything about pressure in the back of the eye, and all the stuff that you should have known. Maybe there's a thing called Diamox. I didn't know about Diamox. And this time, unlike the first time, so in 1993, I felt like the ultimate warrior. I got the Everest, I felt like a bag of fucking bones, but I couldn't do it. The altitude and the runs and a headache, I going, what's going on? I was taking aspirin there and stuff like that, but not any other drug. Didn't realise that there was a thing called Diamox. I didn't realise that there's other things that you should have been doing, when you're dead and stuff like that. I don't know if I had a virus, but I felt shit.
As I said, a raw honesty that is really refreshing from Banjo. He was offered this opportunity by Richard Duggan, a mountaineer from Armagh who had met Banjo through work. But as Banjo says, the resources needed to go to Everest are immense, and he was unsure about where this support would come from. However, the peace process in the north might offer a solution.
Boom. Here it is. This is the opportunity I've been waiting on, and I was going to be in the background. I didn't care, but I was actually going to get an opportunity to climb this. So sort of nobody knew, and I tried to have to put myself out there, and because they were piggybacking on another expedition, the way that's done is that, say, a Swiss team has paid for, because it's all big money, Swiss teams paid for, a Swiss team has paid for, say, 12 places, and they've paid for the pig fee. Well, then I think Richard and all negotiated with them. Can they get 4 places out of that there, and they'll pay them, say, $10,000, whatever it is. And at that stage, that's still big money to me. Plus the equipment, all the stuff for it, and how am I going to go about this, and trying to get tents and stuff like that. And Richard was well advanced. He was getting sponsorship, and nice. Geez, I better go and this new thing called sponsorship, and people didn't know you, and so, well, what am I getting out of it? And so he's trying to tell people, saying, yeah, well, you get your name in this, and it was just around the peace process had happened, and it was still in that transition period about, the weapons were still a big issue and stuff like that, and this is something positive. So I remember people coming to me saying, look, well, this could be a new news story and stuff like that there, and and I was putting myself out there going, look, something positive. There's people from the north of Ireland going to go as a team, and climb Everest as a team. People jumped on board with it, and it was great then, and tried to get the sponsorship, and so a lot of people had weighed in then, people were giving money, wee bits and pieces, and just to build up that money to get. I still didn't pay for it yet. I've still, I'd said it was gone, but still hadn't the money that. So it was about getting sponsorship, and that was a new thing to me, and about going around, and where begging and begging bowl and going to different places, and people giving me this a wee bit and that. And it was great because it started to build a bit then, a wee bit of PR, and the opportunity, and it came then, and that was it for me. This is the opportunity I had, and then I eventually got the money to get. It wasn't big money, but it was big money to me. You know what I mean?
So Banjo was able to put the money together and the equipment to enable him to go on the expedition. There will be 6 on the team: Richard Dugan, the leader; Banjo; David Sharp, who would die tragically in Everest in 2006; Martin Dugan and Stephen Sinnott, both expedition medics; and Jamie McGuinness, an experienced high-altitude climber from New Zealand. However, health issues would continue to dog Banjo in the early stages.
I remember getting into base camp, not feeling well, and trying to get from camp one, base camp to advanced base camp. This time round, couldn't get it. I was disorientated. The snow come down, and I remember just fucking out of it, really. And I remember sort of getting half lost in the snow. It started to snow big time. The other boys were way on. I couldn't find the camp, and I remember hearing the bells of yaks, and then heading towards the bells of yaks and getting in with the yakers at night. And they looked after me, because I was just strung out of it, you know what I mean, with the altitude. And I remember them giving me soup and stuff like that, and a bit of tang. And I remember putting the head down. Before I knew it, the next morning, they were taking down their, the way they can take down their, the ute, I think it's called, or something like that there. And I remember waking up, and all the stuff was put on the axe bar, this bit of a bench, and me sitting on it and getting up, and all right. And then I eventually make myself to advanced base camp to be met with, what the fuck happened to you? And I'm going, fuck, I'm not feeling well, I'm that thing. And, when you're down, the last thing you need is somebody say, there was a certain member who I ended up having confrontation with, going, you're fucking shit. You can't even get the fucking fast base camp without fucking there, Dan. I don't think you should be in this team. You're supposed to be the technical climber here of this whole team. And, what? Hang on a second. I'm a slow acclimatizer, and I don't know what's wrong. Might have had a fire ascent, but it just wasn't, there's no oomph. But at every occasion, he was putting me down. He's going, fuck, I don't have an argument with him. And I remember staying a few weeks trying to get up onto the North Col. Couldn't do it. Halfway up the North Wall, just didn't have the oomph. Just remember coming back down again. And, disappointed. And then, where's that gear? Because we had no Sherpas at this stage. There was a porter that was having us out for a while, and then he got altitude sickness and he left. It was just us, and we're relying on each other to carry our own gear, because at that stage, what I had said then to people, I wanted to climb the mountain with no oxygen, no Sherpas, no porters, and that's how we're going to do it. Old school.
Old school. I used that phrase in the last episode as well to describe Banjo. He certainly was old school, but the tensions and the friction in the team are clear to see. And honestly, at this point, the expedition has maybe got failure written all over it. Banjo felt weak, and other things were going wrong also.
So I became the weakest member, and so that went on for weeks. That really got to me, where I was going, jeez, something not right with me. And I eventually got to the North Col, and it ended up, there was a big wind there, and we lost, I think, 1 or 2 tents with a big wind. And the tent that was at the North Col had a big hole through it, because I think it was that windy that, like, some type of an axe had actually flown through the tent. There's huge big holes in it.
God.
So I don't know how that happened. And so the boys were all saying, "Why can you not? You're not going to be in the summertime when you don't book yourself up, And I was going right, and Richard was doing his best, an idiot with the rest of the boys, going like, "Yeah, you're all right." I said, "Fuck." I've tried to push on. The boys are a lot stronger, man. They were doing it well. They're all acclimatizing well, but they were carrying their own gear, and it was the Kiwi fucking kept putting me down, and he was saying, "Fuck you, you're not going to maintain. You haven't contributed. You haven't carried anything," and I did feel guilty, because you're not a team member if you're not carrying ropes, you're not carrying equipment, food, gas for the stoves, food, and I'm not contributing, and there was boys then at that stage taking ropes up, and that it was old Korean rope for the static rope for Juma and up, and as part of all the expeditions came together saying, "Look, if your team takes, say, 300 or 400 meters of this rope, and blah, 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 you don't know what we were going to do." And then the boys were saying, "Well, he's not fit to fucking carry anything." So then it was like a penalty, sort of, you had to contribute money then if you were not going to carry it.
Right.
And I found shit, because that's what I was there for, to carry the crane rope up to the fucking do the static rope, and everybody was going to help, with the Sherpa along with the gear, because at that stage, Sherpas, they were good at altitude, but they weren't good at putting gear in. Because I had seen a few times where a piton was put in, but it was put in at this fucking side, and after a while you knew it was going to be, it's going to come away. So re-jig everything, with the pitons needing to be re-tapped in and reshaped and stuff like that there, and, checked. And there's certain things there was worn rope from, the year previous or whatever it is, going, fuck it. So I remember, doing butterfly coils round rope going, because that's cut and because it's very easy to clip onto something. But then you realise, fuck this gear here. Like, I remember coming up to stuff and I was loose sounding, and there was nothing holding it at all. It was just frozen. It was frozen into the ice. Now, eventually, with the heat of the sun, I was going to come away, So, you were just cautious of that. But anyway, cut a long story short, I was told that I was not going. I wasn't on the summit thing. That devastated me. The boys had some type of window coming on, and I went into the Australian Air Force boys. It was all different. There's expeditions all over, And they were saying, "The weather's going to be fucking horrendous up there. Now, you are going to get 1 or 2 days, but that's it." And I was going, right. And they said, "Yeah, it's not going to be the big window that you want." But the boys were pushing on. I'd say to them, and they went, "Sure, you're not part of the team. It's like, you're the reason why you're saying that is trying to put us off." I was saying, I'm just told what we had no technical, nobody. I hadn't got big computers to stimulate, weather systems or anything. We're just going, say to the pants, "Yeah, it looks good, let's go for it." And then it's only when you're asking around going, there's places how they've got know how they're getting weather updates. And no, they were going for it. So the boys went for it. I was told I was shit. But and that devastated me. Like, imagine all your life you dreamt this here, and then you're told, "No, you're not for some." And in fairness, I suppose I wasn't fit, and it's the way he did it. If he hadn't been so fucking blatantly a bollocks, I wouldn't have minded. But he was such an arsehole about it, and I just had to take it and accept it, which did fucking hurt the pride, but I had to suck it up.
I don't know Jamie McGuinness, but after interviewing Banjo, I did a little digging to see what I could find out about him. His Project Himalaya website is very interesting, and there's lots of information there about his expeditions over the years, including the 2003 expedition with Banjo. I suppose it's hard to get along with everybody in expedition, and in fairness to Banjo, whilst he is still clearly annoyed at how things were with Jamie, he moves on from it quickly, though we will return to it later. Anyway, there were other teams and characters on the north side of the mountain, including a team of Royal Marines.
There was a load of Royal Marine, or they had 12 top climbers, and then they had about 6 or 8 Sherpas and stuff like that. And they had only one man. They could only get one man to the summit, and they were pushing at the time. He went on to be Bear Grylls fucking rope man. Forget exactly his name, but anyway, nice enough lad. But I used to scoff him, about I used to stone these boys, younger and stuff like that, and have the crack with him. But they actually did a rescue, in fairness, because it came through the radio that there was a boy who fell and busted his leg. And at that stage, people say, once you've hurt yourself, you're a bit. They were lowering this lad down, and they were part of a rescue team. They're also, the Blue Peter was running the show, and I remember that. And I remember going up and helping out. They'd said, is there anybody on the mountain? Plus, Davy Sharp and Richard got frostbite. So I went up for them, and I'm sort of pushed beyond my altitude, and I managed to get the camp too. And I went, fuck, I'm doing all right. Just to help the boys down, because at that stage, it was very hard for them, the abseil off. So, you were doing an assisted abseil. You were down, you clip them on, and then you would go down, and then you'd hold the rope, and then just walk backwards, because they couldn't really hold on to the ropes for up and down. And in that process, then we had seen this guy that was getting lowered by these lads, and we gave a hand out. So that myth that you can't help somebody on a big mountain was done away with. If people just did their wee bit, and I says, well, I can help out for a couple of 100 meters, and I had 2-foot aluminium stick and hammered it and put a sling on it. So when it came to me, I'd clip on the rope, lower down onto the ropes, you know what I mean? And this lad was in like a bivvy bag, and they saved his life.
Saved his life?
Yeah, saved his life, which is great. So it could have been done.
Sorry, was he another British climber?
Yeah, he was a British climber, yeah. But it's not, I tried to look for it, to say about that rescue. It's not really talked about. I don't know why. I don't know if it was military or not, and that's why they were trying to hide it. But it was helped out.
The whole area of rescue on Everest, or even simply helping other climbers, especially high up on the mountain, can be extremely controversial. It is something I hope to focus on and cover in a later episode. I feel from talking to Banjo that he feels strongly about this, and would do whatever was in his power to help out fellow climbers, if at all possible. Most people need help at some stage on Everest, even if it is something simple, but extremely painful like frostnip, which can lead quickly to more serious issues.
Badly frostbite. So David ended up losing a few toes from it.
Right.
And Richard was lucky. He just frost-nipped, so it was like white but didn't go black. But how you deal with that is once you get there, you have to go straight off the mountain, and it's back to Kathmandu, and you put your hand in luke water and iodine and stuff like that, and try to bring about recrystallization of the fingers. Quite lucky, because you can lose your fingers and toes very quickly, but at that stage, poor Richard, his toes were black, and that's an indicator it's frostbitten there, so yeah, he was destined to lose a few toes there. So it was gone. So when they were packing up, they were saying, right, well, we have to get the Kathmandu and stuff like that. And it's like the light bulb came on for me. I got strong. I just felt, that again. I went, I'm back. All right. That inner fucking self-belief and, that hunger again. And so it must have been altitude. It must have been a combination of a lot of things. Maybe I wasn't eating properly. I lost about 2 stone. I could have had a fires. But whatever it was, I felt better and I felt strong. And I went, fuck, I'm going to go for the summit myself. And the boys going, no, I says, here. In 93, when I was disappointed I didn't get on further to Everest, I got back down to Kathmandu, and the next day I ended up doing Island Peak solo myself from the north side. And I did a few odd peaks, but I'm not going to say it because I would have got myself into trouble. that you may or may not have to pay pig fees for, right? And I ended up somewhere. So I know my capabilities then. And I know, what, my limitations are as well. But I went, here, I can do this. So I had said, that's it. So I went over and asked about a weather forecast. I said, look, see the next 2 days, the weather is going to be still. There's not going to be any big fronts coming in. So there's going to be no precipitation, which is snow, and the wind is going to be 0 for the next 2 days. But, and here's the big but, after that, the monsoon season was coming in early, so it was the 31st. It was the 30th. What way did it work out was, it was the 29th of May, and the monsoon was coming in. They said the huge big storms coming in with the monsoon on top of it about a day later. So this was the last. If you were going to make the push, this is it. So I decided, that's it. Got in the gear thing. I got enough. I took my own tent, my own gear, my own food thing from base camp up the advanced base camp. At that stage, the Kiwi had found out that I was going to just, I'll go with you. And I went, me and you aren't a team. You're not a team player. Because I'll tell you the way he worked it out. I'd see the way he interacted with our people, and I'd seen a few people fall before. Even a few Sherpas had slipped. And I remember him walking on. No regard for anybody. And the type of me is the way I was brought up, and as a mountaineer yourself, if you see somebody in difficulty, no matter what, you'll help them. Like a wee dog in a ditch, I would stop to help the dog out. I knew he wouldn't stop for me. And I knew it. I said to him, I said, you are not a team player. I wouldn't want you. I wouldn't want you near me. See, if you were my team and I had something to do with it, I wouldn't have you near me, because I know you're not a team player whatsoever. And very deviant at that, as in, I'd seen he's very callous in certain ways. I suppose if you want to get somewhere, that's the way you are, but not for me. But that's my personality. And I just went with it. I went, right. I had to think the time I was going, right, if you want to come on ahead, but do what you're going to do. And I had a good chat to myself going, hey, even though team player, but it's a big dangerous place, and I'm scared, and I don't want to be truthful, Anybody says not scared of fucking psychopaths, not overly scared, but anxious, should I say. There's a difference between, there's like fear, excitement, and it's all what's what, you know what I mean? Is it fear or is it just excitement, And I love the buzz and I love the challenge, so I'm going to go for it.
Ironically, it was Banjo and Jamie who would partner up for a summit push, even though tensions had been high on occasions and harsh words had been said. Both were very able mountaineers, but whether or not they would be able to become a team for the push was up for debate. David and Richard were out of the picture at this stage, and a brief weather window was opening. Banjo sensed it was now or never.
So on the way up, I got from advanced base camp to the North Call all in one day. And then I went, fuck it, you know what, I'm going to push on. And pushed on just below Camp 2 then, all in one day. And got there early enough. And then the Kiwi eventually came. I said, what the fuck, I was messing with him, oh, you're going strong and all, and put myself up. And, at that stage, I didn't realise what he was at. He was just sort of using me, but I didn't know it at the time. Anyway, we went from Camp 2 up to Camp 3. Still no oxygen. It was about 8,200 and odd metres with no oxygen. Maybe 8,003. That's some going. I wanted to get as far as I could. And I felt good enough because I was doing my deep breathing. I felt good. Didn't have the big altitude. Didn't have headache. But everything was slow motion. And I remember getting into the camp, into the tent, getting my tent up, and there was a wee bit of snow. So at that stage, before that, there was a big load of snow on it, and we're using the snow to scrape off, the boiled water and stuff like that. But up at Camp 3 then, it's sort of like the yellow brick road where the ground meets the limestone, like round, and it's all rocky and very shitty ground, and there was a patch of snow there, and I'd said, right, that's where I'm going to put the tent. It's a perfect place, put a tent, hammer it in there, and I'll have snow so I could scrape it and things. So that was the ideal. Put the tent up, felt pretty good. On the way up, I met a Swiss guy who wanted to die, and he was there, and I was wondering why he hadn't moved for about 2 hours. You're making your way up, and he was some Swiss guy, and he was saying, like, everybody was climbing, he wanted to climb it. And I says, right, but he can't, because physically he couldn't do it. But he was prepared and said, right, nah. Cut along, so I had a wee slab. They fucking wise himself up and saying, look, have you got family and stuff like that? And, he took out a photograph of his family. I said, they're more important than this here. I wouldn't lose a fingernail over a mountain, and anyway. So I was a wee episode. Got up, then Jamie had come in, then he was there, and he's looking around, he says, look, there's oxygen bottles here, but they were Russian, and there was 2 oxygen masks, and they were Chinese or something like that. So I says, I think I could do this, with no oxygen. I think I'm doing all right. He says, but you've no backup, you've no, or something happens, what are you going to do and stuff like that. He says, maybe you should take the oxygen, part of the way, and if something happens, then take it. And I was going, I don't know why. Because I want to be the first. I want to, prove myself. This is my challenge. And then that night, he was going, I would definitely, tell you, he was convincing me. I said, maybe I fucking should. And then at that stage, he opened up one of the cylinders, and he put the oxygen round into the tank. And I must say, I went from slow motion to clicking a wee bit, going, yeah, that did help, when he put the oxygen. The only thing is, it can be a falsehood as well, because once you leave that chamber of the tent, is my stats going to fluctuate, because I've acclimatized up to 8,300 and something meters without O's, you know what I mean? Will this affect me? Will this, because I was always thinking, all right, the body's down, it's way above the death zone. I'm only here for a limited time, and I might fuck it, I might just go for it. So anyway, I was getting excited. He was on the satellite phone whenever he was chatting. I wasn't interested, and I'd say, well, I just was focused on the summit, and I was getting excited. I remember looked out. It was one of them clear nights, but there was no moon. It was dark, but not a wind. That was, or you half sleep. And I thought, fuck it. And I remember looking at the watch, and it's a long time. It's like endless nightmare like dawn. And if you're looking at your watch, say it's 9 o'clock at night. Look at it again. It's 9:05, but it felt like an hour. And at this stage, I went, fuck, I can't say I'm going to go for it. 10 o'clock, I started to make the move then. Got a load of snow, boil it, give him the first liter. But it takes ages to melt the snow just to make that, You don't feel like eating any. I remember I had, he gives a wee bar of chocolate and stuff like that there. And that was the only thing I had down my throat. And I had crumbs of a packet of crisps or something that I'd crunched up. And that was it. And nothing else fancy. And I went, fuck it, I didn't need it. I was too excited, and I just needed the water. And I remember trying to get the water in me, a wee bit of soup, and getting that down my throat. But it was lukewarm. But you still hear anything will do at this stage again. At that stage, I gave him the drink on it, and then it took me ages to get mine water. I thought something happened, and then I go, fuck, he's away a long time. I thought he maybe went to the toilet, or maybe fucking thing. Then I thought he slipped. Not the stage again, I got out of the tent. Now, this is all in slow motion, but it takes ages to get your head around things. And I'd spotted 5 lights. Unknown to me, it was the first South African going for the summit. They had 4 4 Sherpas and one cloud. Like at that stage, there was their mountaineer, right? And then there was a Japanese woman who's a millionaire. Her husband was a millionaire, and a present to her was the climb average. She had a load of Sherpas too. So he, no unknown to me, he had spotted these and he just took off. Didn't say a word to me.
So apparently true to form, Jamie went for it without Banjo. You can imagine Banjo's reaction. High up in Everest, in the death zone, is no place to be alone, especially if it wasn't the plan. However, all was not lost for Banjo. We will leave it there for now, but please do join us next week as Banjo tells the story of his summit push. He tells it so well, in his own style, and it is not without some startling encounters and the usual healthy dose of drama that comes with the North Ridge of Everest. I hope you can join us. Stay safe and stay cool.